So good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. I would like to introduce Fran Poodry, who is actually the physics representative at Vernier Software and Technology, I think, the lead on physics equipment there, and then also is going to have some partnership with Pivot Interactives. And that's what she's going to demonstrate for us today. And it's interesting to note that Fran is former high school physics teacher who also was president of AMTA. So she's my predecessor. And so maybe Fran, you can just briefly share your teaching background and then help us get to know Pivot, because I think a lot of us are worried about the need for remote learning and remote labs in the fall. And so this is a really great tool for us. So Fran, take it away.
Sure thing. So let's see. All right. So yep. Hi, I'm Fran, and my actual title is Director of Physics, which sounds very exciting, but what that means is I write the agendas for the physics team meetings and try to make sure that everyone's got something to work on. And yes, I was a high school teacher for many years. I started teaching in early 1993 and didn't leave teaching until 2013. So that was just over 20 years in the classroom. I took modeling instruction workshops in the summers of 1997 and 1998 at UW River Falls with Rex Rice and Dave Braunschweig. So I was a longtime modeler. And I taught at a variety of schools. So I taught not only in urban Philadelphia schools, I also taught in New Jersey, I taught in suburban Pennsylvania, I've taught conceptual physics, AP physics, the whole thing. So it's exciting to be here. I'm really happy to continue to be involved in AMTA. I'm thrilled to see how it's grown since I was president, and I love continuing to come to these conferences. I think it's fantastic that we have them. So yes, at Vernier, in addition to being director of physics, I also work as one of our liaison group with Pivot Interactives. So Pivot Interactives is a company that is founded by Peter Bohacek and Matt Vonk, and they have created this amazing platform that started as, physics teachers may remember direct measurement videos, which used to be hosted on the Carleton College website, and those were free. So a lot of people are or were upset when those direct measurement videos disappeared and turned into Pivot Interactives. But Peter and Matt had a vision that this could be something so much more useful, so much more involved, so much, I honestly think it's amazing. I am so, to some extent, annoyed that I was never able to use Pivot Interactives in the classroom because it became what it is after I left teaching. So let me start sharing my screen. All right, so if you go to www.pivotinteractives.com, you wind up at this page. Can you all see it? It says Pivot Interactives at the top. All right, looks like you can. And this page tells you a lot about Pivot Interactives with some lovely examples. All of Pivot Interactives involves videos. None of them are simulations, and many of them involve multiple videos, so that even though there's not not even 300 activities. There are literally thousands of videos. So that consists of things where there's multiple instances. I'm going to go ahead and log in to my temporary account. I temporarily got a free account. I actually have an administrator account, which is why I'm in a incognito window in Chrome right now. So I'm using my, and I don't know if you guys know this, but if you have a Google account for your mail, if you put a plus and then anything else after your username, it still goes to your username at gmail.com, or if your school email is run by Google, then the same thing works. So you can have like your name +1 at whatever, your name +2 at whatever, your name plus, Twitter at whatever, your name at plus Facebook at whatever. You can have all of these different addresses so that you could make multiple accounts. Like if you wanted to, the only way I could make multiple accounts on Pivot, because it's one account per email address, is to have a separate address. And that becomes important in just a moment, and you'll see. So let's see, what's my password for this? All right. So I have 18 days left on my free trial, whatever. In order to have an active account on Pivot Interactive, you must have seats. All right, seats are students, and the minimum number is 10. So if you have fewer than 10 seats, you will not have an active account. I have a free account right now because it's my free trial. After 18 days, if I don't have any students, then and paid students, that is, active students, then my free trial will be over and I won't be able to do anything in Pivot Interactives. My students wouldn't be able to do anything. So you can purchase through the Vernier website. You can also set up a student paid course. This is most used by colleges. A student paid course is a course where the students would pay their fee, which is $5 at the high school level, $10 at the college level, to have access to the course. They can enter that by a credit card, or they can buy a code through their bookstore, in which case the bookstore would have to make a bulk purchase from Vernier. So the first thing that I'm going to look at is the Pivot Interactives library. I just want to give you a little idea of what kinds of activities are available. And the easiest way to do that is to filter, because there are so many of these that we don't have a nice convenient like text list of all the activities, unfortunately. So the best way to do this is just to look in the library and to sort. So for example, in biology, there are currently 17 activities. And some of these may be cross-listed with other subjects, such as earth science. I believe measuring the output of the sun, for example, is one that is cross-listed with earth science. And this is, since there's only 17 of them, Pivot Interactives is actively increasing the number of biology activities. They're focusing on the AP Biology curriculum. Since I'm not a biologist, what I don't know is how these would fit in with modeling biology. I just don't have, excuse me, I just don't have the expertise in biology modeling to know how these would fit in. If I switch to chemistry, there's a lot more, and these might be a little bit more useful. For example, there are some where you are actually thinking about mathematical models. And I see the question, seats are good for 1 year at the high school level. Yes. And that's actually I'll just divert here for a sec to answer that. That's actually kind of a loophole if you're on some sort of block scheduling where you have students for half of the year and then a different batch of students for the other half of the year. So you can actually reuse those seats. So you wouldn't have to buy enough seats for the total number of students. You would only have to buy enough seats for whichever is the largest number of students. And to the question, can you make your own labs and upload them? Yes, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. So some of the chemistry ones might be more connected to modeling instruction. Again, as a physicist, I've never actually taught chemistry either, and certainly not chemistry modeling. But some of these are, there's a variety of activities in terms of the amount of scaffolding and in terms of the amount of instruction, and you can always edit them. So one that I'm interested in, and which I've put in for you to take a look at in a little bit, is this one on experimental design measuring the specific heat of water. So specifically, students will be using multiple experiments to find the most accurate method to determine specific heat of a liquid. And it's something that you might not take the time to do in a classroom. If you were in the classroom, you might say, all right, we've got enough time for this one lab where we're going to do specific heat of water. They're going to do it this way because this is the right way to do it. And here you could assign this as a homework assignment and have students determine what is the best way to do it, and then maybe use that in the future for determining the specific heat of something else. And then there's some earth science activities as well. Let me pull those up. So these are mostly environmental, but there's also some, basics like temperature affecting the volume of water, measuring the output of the sun, starry night. So there's, some interesting earth science activities there. And then physics is, of course, the subject where there's the most, because that's where this all started. And yes, they're still making some physics activities, but not at the rate that they're increasing the number of activities in other subjects. Question, are they closed captioned for accessibility? No, and that's because most of them are wordless. The videos don't have speech in them. It would certainly be nice to have access to this for more than 30 days while preparing for fall. Once your free trial is over, just let us know that you'd like to continue to have access, and we will change your account to what's known as limited. You'll be able to do everything except assign works to students and have students complete assignments. So you'll be able to prepare as much as you want. So in physics, there are a ton of topics, and I just want to show you an example of what I mean by having lots of different videos. Let me pull up something in work and energy. So here's one, mathematical modeling, height versus velocity for a puck on a ramp. There's two things I can do here. I can preview this, or I can add it to my library. If I preview it, I'll be seeing everything exactly the same way that a student would see it. So a student would come in and see the learning objectives. They'd see there's often an informational video of what's going on. And then this is a set of videos which allows you to explore and experiment with this apparatus. So you can select the mass of the puck, the height from which the puck is released. That's down here at the bottom. And if you click here, you'll see that there are K heights. What's K in numbers? Anyway, you get K heights and you get two different masses of puck. And then once you select one, so let's say I select height H and mass number 2, I'd have to hit go. This set selects that particular activity. And now if I play this video, I'll see what happens. So that's the raw video at 240 frames per second. What you can then do with this video is overlay measurement tools. So this is your stopwatch. Here's a measurement tool. Here's a horizontal line. So for example, if I want to say, all right, well, what is the actual height of the thing when it's at the bottom? I'm going to sort of find a place in the video where it's at the bottom here. I'm just going to go right to the middle of the puck there. There's my middle. And I'm going to put my 0 at that level. All right, well, I got to go back to the beginning and see, where does my puck start? And it starts at that height. Well, if I'm looking at the middle, I can put a dot there. Oops, got to move that first. Move my dot to the middle of the puck. And now, using the measurement tools that I've overlaid, I can measure, all right, what is the starting height of that puck? I'm also going to be interested in, oops, I can move that out of the way. I don't need it really, or I can put it up there. There we go. Here, I'll be able to figure out how fast the puck is moving at the bottom when I get there. And you can go frame by frame with this little tool down at the bottom. So looks like it goes, and here's a fun thing. I can reset the stopwatch. So now my time is 0 seconds. And looks like (11 centimeters in 0.0583 seconds. Now I can determine the average speed of the puck at the bottom of the ramp when it was released from height H. So the students are going to figure out using these methods, and they're going to enter the data into a data table. This data table allows your students to decide what they're going to use as the column headings and what they're going to use as the units. So for example, I might want to make this one height, and looks like I can measure this in centimeters, but yeah, maybe you want your students to use meters. You can have them use meters, or they might decide that they're going to use meters instead of centimeters. And then this one, I'm going to put speed, and so my units here are going to be centimeters per second. You can also do calculated columns. So we're going to be interested maybe in calculating the square of the velocity if we're thinking about a relationship between gravitational potential energy and kinetic energy. So I can insert a column to the right, and I can make my new column b squared. And I'm going to have to put in a column formula here. And so it's going to be speed squared. So anything I put in here, so if I put 2 in there, it's going to wind up being 4 there. If I put 5 here, it's going to wind up being 25 there. So it works similarly to a spreadsheet, not quite exactly the same. So I see a question. I had some trouble figuring out how to add or remove rows. You cannot remove rows. It's kind of like you open a spreadsheet in Excel and they give you thousands of rows. You don't need them all. You don't use them all. So you don't have to use them. You can add them simply by clicking in the blank row. So the blank row is like the buffer row between that and the 1,000 other cells you could have, but you can add them if you want. You cannot delete them. I will tell you though, the Pivot Interactives team is definitely working on cleaning up and improving the table tool. So the chat is going by pretty quickly here. So I'm sorry if I don't get to all of them, but I can, we'll have some, hopefully, time for questions and answers at the end. I want to go ahead and do a little bit more in terms of looking at this one, and then I'm going to set you loose as students for just a little bit. So this also has some questions. If you have a multiple choice question, that can be auto-graded, and you can change how many submissions are available by editing. And you can also have free response questions. And students can also upload pictures. So if your students, they want to show their calculations, for example, or you want them, you can direct them, upload a photo, and you can do that.
Yeah, who is that?
I'm sorry, what was that? You can also have them link to a document, or they can also write their own formulas, basically using LaTeX. LaTeX is kind of a learning curve, but for your more advanced students, they may be fine with that. So let's see. So a ton of questions in here. I'm going to go ahead and set you loose as students. So in order to be a student in my class, you're going to go to pivotinteractives.com. You're going to click join a class. You're going to enter this class key 90795E09, and you're going to sign up with a fake email address. And the reason you're doing a fake email address is because you cannot have more than one account with the same email address in Pivot Interactives. If you ever want to have a teacher account in Pivot Interactives, you're going to want to use your school email address. So you do not want to sign up as a student with your email address. And for those of you who are going to be using Pivot Interactives in your summer workshops, this is the recommended way. Have your summer workshop participants use a fake email address or a personal email address, not a school email address, for their student account when they join your class, okay? So go ahead and do that. And what I have done in Pivot Interactives is I have put in a couple of biology, a couple of physics, and a couple of chemistry activities in there. So you can go in and take a look, try entering some data, try taking some measurements, try playing with it. I'm going to give you probably about 10 minutes to do that. And while you're doing that, I'm also going to try to go through the chat and answer some questions. So let's see here.
And I have a question. This is Gloria Gajevich, and I'm currently a co-leader for biology modeling.
Mm-hmm.
And we went ahead and already asked our participants to create their own account. And now what you just mentioned, is that going to...
So did you have them create a free trial account?
Yes.
That's fine.
Okay.
So if you want them to be students in your class, however, that's when you would have them use the fake email address.
I thought I would just ask them each to go ahead and create their own account,
Mm-hmm.
so that they could go in and see what that would be like. And I'm going to have them do the algae density lab from biology.
Mm-hmm.
So we can build a model, because I really like it. It was really easy to collect the data. It's really
good.
easy to plot their points. And I was able to create a screenshot and use that right in a slideshow. So it's very, very easy to use. I really like it.
Okay, so there was a question about teaching summer school at one school, and then that email address will end and starting at a new school. That will not be a problem if you make a trial account with your summer address, because what you can do is go into your account profile and change your email address. So you can change that to your correct address. Let's see, going back here, see if I can, let's see, is there an explanatory video that explains how to use all the tools for the videos that students can watch? There is not, but there is help. So I'm going to go back to pivotinteractives.com. I can get there. So down at the bottom of the screen, there's this help. It's not available if you're a student, but it's available if you're a teacher. So this is advice and answers, and there's actually a whole account, a whole article about student instructions. So here's student instructions, and a great thing to do is to just give this link, and I'll put it in the chat. So that shows students how to get in. It shows them some information about using the tools. There's a little eye up in the corner of the videos that tells students some more information. And then there's some information about using the graphing tools and about using the data table. So that will help. Also, I'm sure that there are teachers out there making their own videos. I know that at least my experience with working at Vernier, there are tons of videos out there showing like students, how do you use Logger Pro? How do you use graphical analysis? How do you use the motion detector that teachers have made? So you might be able to find some of those online as well. Let's see. Can students collaborate in groups on these activities, or are these individual assignments? Right now they are individual assignments, but there have been, from current users, plenty of requests for making it possible for students to collaborate. So that's something that is in the works. It's not the very top of the development list, but it is definitely on there. So future feature. Could my physics class codes be used a couple of times for other classes, like a biology class where we might only do a lab or two with Pivot? Not really, no. It's meant to be one student is one seat, and you can't really switch them because the student signs in and creates an account. But one thing that we are looking at is, in addition to the seat purchase model, there may be a site license purchase model. And in a site license purchase model, if your whole school has access, then sure, your biology teacher could use it for 1 or 2 activities, and your chemistry teacher could use it for 1 or 2 activities, and your physics teacher could use it for 17 activities, or however many activities you do during the school year. So that also addresses the question, are institutional licenses possible? So yes, we're still working on the full format right now. The only site license that's been negotiated contract purchase has been University of South Florida. And so that was very exciting for us because that's the biggest purchase we've had yet. And yes, Bill said the best thing to do is contact Peter and see if they can work with you and your needs. And down here in the bottom corner is this little icon that looks sort of like a speech bubble with a smile in it. That is the chat icon down here. So if you're looking at that, you can search the articles, you can send a message. I actually am one of the people who answers the questions on there. So it's one of the ways that Vernier works with Pivot is we have some of our support team working with Pivot Interactives to support Pivot Interactives. They're still a very small company, and that's one of the reasons that we partnered with them. Let's see. Going through the questions here. What options exist for exporting student data tables and graphs? I believe you can copy and paste from the data table and you can screenshot graphs. I know that some schools lock out the screenshot functions, so that's not an option for everybody. But you can, teachers can score the activities directly in Pivot Interactives, and also browsers typically have a a print or print to PDF function, so that you can also have students create a PDF of their work and send that to you. Let's see. Ooh, now that's a tough question. Someone says, I like both Pivot and Vernier video analysis. Hopefully I can get both for my students, but if I had to choose, which would be best? Pivot Interactives, it's all pre-made activities, and you can edit them. Video analysis has right now 3 free activities that are pre-made, and other than that, you would be writing all your own labs until we come out with a book, which we're working on, but that's not available yet. So in terms of most bang for your buck, I would think that Pivot Interactives is the most bang for your buck. However, they're both excellent tools. Note, you can do video analysis in Pivot Interactives where students upload their own video, and I can show you that. Under activities, modeling is a selection. How did they define this? I do not know. That's a question for Peter. Let's see.
And this is Kelly. I might be able to weigh in on that because I did a guest account with Pivot. It seemed to me as if the modeling label was determined a lot of times by teachers who shared their own made Pivot Interactives lab, and they would label it as modeling if they were using it in their modeling classrooms. But I don't think there's any general person who's deciding what is determined as modeling.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure that Peter's actually attended any modeling workshop. I think he's modeling adjacent, however.
Yeah, so I think the ones that I saw were actually posted by teachers who I know who have been through modeling workshops, and they themselves labeled it as modeling.
Okay, and let's see. We're almost at the end of the 10 minutes that I wanted you to try this as students. So we'll, let me just check and see if there's any other questions that I've missed. Can you buy just 10 seats? Yes. Can a high school make a bulk purchase if they collect fees? Yes. If you get 25 seats, I can use them in the fall and the spring with 2 different classes. Yes, if they're at the high school level. No, if they're at the college level. Let's see. How do you handle dual credit high school students taking classes at a community college? It depends on the instructor creating the course. So if you are a high school instructor and you're the high school teacher who is also teaching at the community college, I would do it through the high school. If you only teach at the community college and you happen to have high school students, then that would be considered a college course. Let's see. Some of the activities are listed as free. Is it possible to use them with an account for longer than the trial period? I honestly don't know entirely how that works. I apologize. Let's see, during a teacher's free trial period, can students use it? Yes, you can have like 1 million students during your free trial. Probably not really because the servers would break, but you know, you can have a lot. And it'd be nice to have access for this for more than 30 days while preparing for fall. Maybe I did answer that one, but yes, we can change your account to limited and that lets you prepare. And let's see, it looks like can a bulk purchase?
I think there was a question. Oh, there was a question about uploading too, and I'm not sure
yes,
exactly
yes, I'll get to that.
What the question is.
Yep, I'll get to that. So can a bulk purchase be split between both teachers and classes? Yes. So if your school has 3 physics teachers and 250 students taking physics, then yes, you can buy the 250 seats and then one person gets them and then they can distribute them to other teachers. And can you have limited first and then trial for students so I can start the year with it? I don't think we can do it that way, no. Sorry. All right, so it's been more than 10 minutes now. Let me go back to showing stuff. I'm going to now go back to what you see as an instructor and do some more stuff in here. So let me find, let's see, should already be logged in. Yes, all right. So in the Pivot Interactives library, if you search for upload, you can find a couple of different things. Here is an example of teacher uploaded videos. So these are activities where they say, all right, this is just an example, but you can put your own videos in here. So what you would do is you would edit. You have to add it to your library in order to edit. So once it's there, I can, oops, gotta get rid of that. Go to my library. And now my library has copy of video uploaded, example of teacher uploaded video. I'm gonna edit that. So maybe what I want to do is I want to do a video that I took, and the video happens to be of, I don't know, a car, a toy car that rolls off a table. So car rolls off table. And I'm going to be determine velocity of the car and calculate the landing position. And I have to admit, I'm stealing this from a customer who recently was taking a similar video for their students to work on. If I want, I can share to the community library. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm not going to tag it as anything. This is just my little thing. And so teachers upload their own video when creating or editing this type of video. When students open the video to work on it, the teacher's video is visible for students to analyze. So our goal is to determine the landing position of a toy car rolling off the table. So here's my section. My instructor instance upload is the component that I'm interested in. And so what I want to do with this is actually upload a different video. So in the settings, I would choose a file. It has to be an MP4 or an MOV under 50 megabytes. So if you have to make sure you're within those constraints. So use your video editing program. I use a Mac, so I use iMovie when I do it, and I just clip it to exactly the part of the video that has what I'm interested in, and I then choose the share to file, and that saves it in the appropriate format, and that will work. If you need to change the recorded frame rate and playback frame rate, you can, and then you can update that. So you can also choose for your tools, what tools to use. There'll have to be some different options here. Right now, when you do this, you have to calibrate the ruler. So that's something that you can set. So there's a distance in here. You can make it whatever distance you want. So if I had a meter stick in this in this video, I would put distance here is 1 meter. So. And then hiding the settings, any text I want. And then there's a couple of questions here that you can add. You can delete this component if you want. Notice that in the open-ended question, there's type, prompt, hint, point value, correct answer, and notes. You've got a whole bunch of fields there. So you can change this to, first calculate the, I don't know why I can't select the whole thing. Notice that I made a typo here. There are typos in Pivot Interactives. If you see a typo, you can go to that little chat thing in the corner and tell us there's a typo, and one of us will fix it. And we appreciate that, so please do. Hint.
Fran, while you're
Fran,
while you're doing this, there was a question from George Nelson about, can you embed a rubric for grading when you're writing the assignments?
Not that I'm aware of, and that would be a feature, if you can envision how that would work, that you should suggest.
George says thanks.
Change however many points you want it to be. Correct answer might be, I don't know, and any notes that you want to do. So question, is it possible that you could video a lab such as a thermometer lab and replay it for students? Yes. Is it, let's see, something that some people have asked. I know that some of the people who are here at this conference and have also been in communication with Peter, would like to upload a series of videos, a collection like the ones that are already in Pivot Interactive. So for example, for some of the physics paradigm labs, they have the constant velocity buggy and have a number of instances of that. Right now, teachers cannot do that. Teachers cannot create that that collection with variables that students would be able to control. That may be an upcoming feature, but I think that's probably kind of far off based on the number of features that currently need to be added. So right now, for uploading videos, it's a single instance. Question. Could the students upload their own video and use the tools here to analyze, or is this best done in another format? The student can certainly upload their own. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And let's go back to Pivot Interactive's library. It's probably not a good thing to search on. Okay, I know there's an activity somewhere in here. Whether it's an example of a student uploaded video. I'm not finding it at the moment, but yes, you can make one where you say, all right, student, create a video of an object that is of some round thing that is rolling, all right, and then analyze it. So they can upload their video of the round thing that is rolling. They'll have to add their, put in their ruler and calibrate the ruler. And then they can certainly determine that. Let's see. Question. Is there a way then to request development of particular experimental setups with variable student can change? Yes, you can always ask for anything. How soon it will be created is another matter. How much is a school license? It depends on the number of students. So license costs are tied to the number of students, but not necessarily predetermined. Like there's no like, oh, well, if you have 800 students, then it's definitely, you know, $7,000 or something. We don't have, that's not determined yet. Let's see. All right, is there something that I have forgotten to show you that has already been requested that I show people?
I think someone did ask the question if it's better to use this tool and have students upload their own video, or if it might be better to use some other tool. And I don't know if you can answer that.
Yeah, I don't know. One of the things that I like about Pivot Interactives is that the students have to make their own measurements. I think measurement is just a nice skill to have, and to think about how do you scale the ruler, and then how do you choose, you know, where to measure something, and, you know, to think about the uncertainty in your measurements. If you use something like Vernier Video Analysis or Logger Pro, where you're placing a dot on the screen and the computer is saying, okay, that's at position X this, Y that. This is position X this, Y that. This is position X this, Y that. It takes away, I mean, it's certainly convenient. I mean, I remember back in the day, when I was first learning modeling instruction and I first learned about doing video analysis, we had these big old CRT televisions and you had these VHS machines, and you would stick a big old transparency to the screen of the CRT, and it stuck there with static electricity, and you take your wet erase marker and you'd mark, and then you'd try to use the VHS machine to forward one frame, and then you'd mark, and then you'd use your VHS machine to forward one frame, and then you'd mark, and you had to measure something, and you had to create your scale, and then, you know, you'd erase a mark or it would smear, it was so wonderful to get software that would do that for you. But there's a certain, I don't know, there's a certain pleasure also and a certain skill development in creating your own measurements. So it's a really good question. I think that's something that you have to decide for yourself.
There are also some questions about what it looks like. Thank you for those comments. I agree, and I'm old enough to have used those transparencies myself in my classroom. So there's also some questions about what the teacher sees when they're grading and how the grading is done. Yep. And if you have any comments on that, that would be helpful.
All right, so let's see. Let me look at my class here. Oh, look at all these wonderful people who have joined my class. So here is my class list. Note that I can drop any of you if I want to. That frees up a seat if I need to. I can also, as a teacher, change your password and tell you what your new password is, and then I can have you then change it yourself to something that I don't know. And I can also look and see, all right, all these are accepting responses. Let me take a look here. I can stop responses here. And I have a choice to grade by question or grade by student. If I grade by student, I can look at every student's entire assignment one by one. If I grade by question, I can pick up to 5 questions to grade where I'm just looking at the questions. So first I get to just look at what things I want to do. And maybe I say, all right, I am interested in looking at students' data table. I am interested in looking at their open-ended question here. And I am interested in looking at, let's see, is there another open-ended question here? There's not, it's all just general instructions. Multiple choice questions can be set to grade automatically. So you don't have to grade all the multiple choice questions. But say I want to grade the the open-ended questions here. Once I've chosen the questions that I'm going to grade, I can also choose to grade anonymously, so that I won't see student names. I don't have to do that. And then down at the bottom, grade questions. All right, so I'm looking at section 1, question 3, section 1, question 6, and question 3, section 5. So right now, no one's answered these questions, which is fine. I would see their responses. I'd be able to put their score in, and I'd be able to put any comments. Then I think you might want to consider blah, whatever it is that you want them to think about. So that's what teachers are going to see when they choose to grade. You can look at collapse them once you're done with them. You can save them, save students, save progress. All of these are options, and if these options don't work for you, definitely suggest additional ones. Let me go back, and if I'm going to grade by student, here is, oh, now I can see some great student responses in here. In my list of students, the score is based on any auto-graded questions that were already graded. So if there's already a score, that's because there were some auto-graded multiple choice questions. The column last changed by, this is whoever last opened and put an entry into the assignment. So that's why these say student. If it says instructor, people get confused. They say, oh my gosh, why is my student signed in as instructor? They're not signed in as an instructor. It's just the instructor was the last person who changed it because the student hasn't logged into it yet. And last change on, so let's see. So let's see, Laura said something in here, so I'm gonna look at Laura's assignment. Not to single you out, Laura. So Laura put in some numbers, that's great. I'm gonna give Laura full points for doing that. Questions 2 out of 2 already, 2 out of 2 already, so that you can see those are auto-graded. Explain how you knew the answers to the previous 2 questions. I'm gonna just give 2 points for that. You can assign however many points you want by editing the assignment ahead of time. So you can make them worth 0 points, you can make them worth 10 points, whatever you like. So that's what the student sees. You can also download a CSV of the student grades. And if you are using Canvas or Blackboard, you can also get those, they import automatically somehow. I've never used Canvas or Blackboard, so I don't know how that works, but I know that it does work. And we are working on integrating additional LMSs as well. Let's see.
And by LMS, she would mean learning management systems.
Yes.
Like Blackboard or Canvas or one of those.
Or Moodle or
yeah,
whatever.
Any of
yeah.
those.
So are there additional questions?
There was just a question that popped up of when do students see their grades? And is there a separate button for like revealing the grades or keeping them hidden?
There is not at this time that I'm aware of, and that's something, if that's a feature that you want, that you should definitely suggest to Peter.
So at this point, probably as soon as you enter the score, the student sees it?
Yes, as soon as you've saved it. So yeah, there's a question about saving. I'm going to go back here. If I go and down to the bottom, save and grade next, save and close. So those are my options. So.
And does it auto-save is the question, or do you have to actually push that save button?
I think you have to actually push the save button, because here I am back in the same one and notice that the score is now blank again. So yeah, my neglect. But again, I have not taught with this, sorry.
I think people are really fans of the different grading options, so that's good that you can do by question or by students. Someone comments they like the grading format of Edpuzzle too.
Right, and that's, yeah, me either, but that's definitely something that if you're going to be using Pivot Interactives, totally suggest that to Peter and the team. And another thing that we're looking at, we had a request from a professor last week who was like, oh, well, I'd like to be able to share all the correct answers with my students as well. So that's something that we are also working on.
And I would like to take a moment and acknowledge that it is 5 minutes until the top of the hour. And at the top of the hour, I believe the breakout sessions in the different rooms will start. So I wanted to acknowledge that. I will leave this room open a little bit. It's not conflicting with the things starting at 11 or at the top of the hour, but I'll probably close the room in about 5 minutes. And I want to thank Fran very much for this, for stepping in for Peter. And feel free to stay on the line and open your mic if you have a few questions for Fran as you're filtering to the other rooms. Everybody's saying thank you.
So I'm seeing the question, can you do nonlinear fits on the graphs? That is being developed. I think that feature will be, if it's not already there, it will be very shortly. So in addition to linear, there should be quadratic and several others as well.
And I liked that you did show us that you could put in your own calculated column, so you could at least do curve fitting via linearization, or export the data to something like graphical analysis or Logger Pro if you wanted to do a different fit.
So as I've said this before, but it's still a very young and very small company, and we're certainly, we're working with Pivot Interactives to help them grow and support them as much as we can. But certainly if you have ideas for improvement, teachers are the ones who are going to be using this. Teachers are the ones we are making this for. So we welcome teacher ideas and requests.
And I put a link to the agenda in the chat box in case people are wanting to find the next meeting. That might be the fastest way. And Fran, I'm just wondering, do you think that Pivot Interactives itself is going to get kind of overloaded this fall with so many people having to go to remote teaching? Like, is there a danger of having too many teachers using it, or?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Certainly Pivot has to continue paying for more and more server access, but that is actually a fair amount of what the fees go to is the server access. So as long as we're getting paid subscriptions, then the servers are being paid for and we can get more. What we can't, but that's, people have asked, oh, can you extend my free trial? Blah, blah, blah. One of the reasons that we don't extend the free trials is specifically because server access is expensive. So 30 days, okay, more than 30 days, it's like, we need money in order to keep, this going.
Martha Boyd asks a question of, can most students access it? And she had trouble with accessing some other site.
It's important to make sure you're using only Firefox, Chrome, or Safari. Don't use any other browsers than that. It helps if you make sure you're using the very latest version. And if you have trouble getting in, the things to do are refresh the browser, clear any cookies related to pivotinteractives.com. That's something that I know how to do it on Chrome. I don't know how to do it on Firefox or Safari, but that's something that's easily Googleable. How do I clear cookies? Blah, blah, blah. And also just try a different browser. So if you're on Chrome, try Firefox. If you're on Safari, try Chrome. Just mix it up. Those are usually solutions that work.
Please let us know if that didn't answer your question.
Yeah.
I don't know if I see more.
Nope. And it is the top of the hour. So thank you everyone who came.
It is the top of the hour.
Very happy to be able to share this with people, and certainly let us know if you have additional questions.
Yeah, and I'll leave this open for just a couple minutes, but then I'm probably going to head over to the physics room. So it was good to see everybody. And Martha says we did answer her question, so that's good.
All right. So I just added 2 email addresses to the chat that you can, oops, I did not add them to the chat. Hold on. Let me try that again.
And those of you logging off, the chat will be downloadable for me on my Zoom account, and we do intend to include chat threads from each section in the file folders for the conference.
Yeah, so I just added 2 email addresses that you can use for help with Pivot Interactives.
Thanks so much, Fran. This was
You're
great.
welcome. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks. How you doing, Fran? You've had a busy weekend. Yes.
That's fine. I was planning on being at the conference anyway.
Is Vernier really busy this summer?
We're keeping everyone busy. Yes, our sales are not as high as they used to be, but we've got other projects in the works, and if we have to shift our focus in order to keep supporting teachers as times change, then we will do so.
It is strange how everybody's had to change and do things that we never thought would work as teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And we're thinking, maybe we need to try it and see if we can make it work. And I think Pivot's one of those. I was glad to see it on when I went to online teaching and thought, what are we going to do? I don't know. So when you say there's a difference in business, is it mostly because people aren't buying as much hardware for their actual classroom and software for their actual classrooms? Okay.
Yeah,
makes sense.
It's the hardware that the sales have gone down, but we saw a lot of people downloading our free resources that we made available this spring. We've seen a lot of interest in both Pivot and Vernier Video Analysis. We've seen a lot of interest in access to the data that we provided for people to use for students to analyze, and we're working on more options for blended and online learning.
Yeah, it's been challenging, and as usual, many of the things that you have provided as a company has been so helpful to us teachers. Every little resource you have, so I really appreciate it.
That's good to hear.
I'm so glad you're there. Yeah, it's very much appreciated, I think. So I think it's probably, most people are gone. I think other people are kind of on pause. So I'll probably end now, and I maybe we'll see you in later sessions, but thank you so much again for doing this for us, Fran.
All right, I'll probably pop into the physics one as well.
Okay, see you guys.
Yep.
Bye.